Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emergency Super Bowl Reaction Seaside Sports Guys podcast. Wow, what a freaking game! I haven't slept for the past 3 days. I'm just still in shock. And in my mind, at least in our lifetime, this is the greatest New England sports championship of all time.
It's definitely up there. I don't know. I would have to give it to the Red Sox breaking the curse before that. And I think it's just we've been so spoiled with Pat Super Bowls. Like, yeah, that was a ridiculous game. Game-wise, it's definitely up there, but I don't know. In my rankings, definitely behind the Red Sox in 2004. And it would also be behind for the Celtics and the Bruins, just because of the fact the Bruins won 7 games, so that's huge. And the Celtics, I don't know. I'm just a huge basketball fan, so I think the Celtics winning one once in my lifetime would also rank ahead of it. But without a doubt, it was a ridiculous game. Probably the best Super Bowl ever.
Yeah. I just think our generation, kids 16, 17 years old, we were like in kindergarten when the Sox won in 2004, so I couldn't really truly appreciate what that meant, and I think this definitely meant a lot more to me.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with Chris about breaking the curse and everything, but I also was saying the exact same thing as you when you were talking about how we were really young at that point and just we were kind of old enough to really appreciate this one more than when the Red Sox won it back in 2004.
Yeah, I think it's really just all about perspective because obviously at our age we weren't able to enjoy the championships in the past as much because we were a lot younger. But the Patriots have won so often that it kind of just takes away from like the greatness that game really was because they've just won so often we've kind of become
they
used to
haven't
it.
won so often, like in
they
haven't won in 10 years.
Yeah, but that's more than other teams. And
Yeah.
They've won more than other teams.
Like just that comment that you made kind of shows just how spoiled we've become as people.
Well, I guess 10 years in New England is a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
2 years.
But when you think about it, just like the Sox, like we're so young when the Pats last won the Super Bowl.
I think the other part is the Pats also came up short the last 2 times.
Yeah.
So just I think finally breaking through again made it mean that much more because we were so ready for the Patriots to have an undefeated season and then to win against the Giants the second time, but they fell short both those times. So I think this win meant that much more just because of those 2 losses.
Hypothetically, if after that absolutely unreal catch by Curse at the end,
Tyree Part 2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you think? Do you think this would have been a worse loss than 2007 if the Seahawks pulled it off?
I don't know. The undefeated season was just I don't know. But at the same time, the Seahawks had no business being in that game. They shouldn't have been at the Super Bowl, let alone they just didn't have that lucky comeback against Green Bay. And then they had that lucky touchdown before the half. I don't know. Everything seemed to fall into their hands perfectly at the end. All they had to do was hand it off, and they kind of blew it.
Yeah, that I definitely think just because the Pats were so favored in 2007, that hurt so much more.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it would have been worse just because it was such like a deja vu type of...
Everyone was already tweeting out like, oh, the curse part 2.
Yeah.
The helmet catch returns.
When that happened, you were just like, can something like this really happen like twice
Honestly,
in a row?
I was so in shock. Like, that was just an incredible stroke of luck for them. And the fact that they didn't give the ball to the best running back in the league on the 1-yard line is bananas.
Best goal line back with them.
Yeah.
And that
Actually, I was reading something and it said that Marshawn Lynch has got the ball on the 1-yard line 5 times this year, and he's only scored on 1 of them.
I don't give a crap. He was done through the Pats.
Yeah.
D like a hot knife through butter. You gotta give it to him.
Even if that's true, it was only second down. So even if they fell on the first time, you had 3 more times.
Here's the other thing that I think people are forgetting about or bashing of Pete Carroll. Belichick and the defensive coordinator baited Pete Carroll into that by putting 8 in the box on that play.
Well, keep going.
They knew he was going to throw. they
Yeah,
were gonna
like,
throw.
and Carroll absolutely saved Belichick's ass. So
Oh
much
yeah, with the timeouts.
because I was looking at it the whole time. There is no excuse. You cannot come up with a single excuse other than maybe he trusted his D. But even if you trust your D, you call a timeout there because all you're doing is if they walk in and score, which they
Yeah.
should have,
If they score,
You're
there's
not
no
giving-
chance.
Yeah.
you're not giving
No
yourself
chance.
time on the other end when you get the ball back.
Yeah, exactly.
So Belichick froze up. I don't know what he did, and then Carroll absolutely bailed him out. If they run it in right there, everyone is calling for Belichick's head.
Yeah, it was-
Like
Yeah.
maybe not fired, but people are Deflategate and that people were just be freaking out.
I mean, like, yeah, it was definitely a ballsy move on Belichick's part not to call the timeouts, and then real ballsy for Pete Carroll to throw the ball. And obviously, one worked out and one didn't, and everyone's calling for Pete Carroll's head, and everyone's praising Bill Belichick. So
Now, one thing I did hear about this, I'm not sure, I obviously have no idea if this is true or not, and I don't really it's the reason at all, but I did hear that with the problems that Marshawn Lynch has caused the Seahawks in the locker room, as far as what he's done, some people are saying that Pete Carroll did not want him to get the glory. So I don't think that's true, but what do you guys think of that?
if that were to be true, it would. Oh, that's just ridiculous.
I don't think you're thinking about that because that's like
Yeah.
a selfish thing. to
That's
be
exactly
thinking.
what I thought
Yeah.
of.
Like if you're talking about being like not giving him the glory, that's like so selfish. You're like, oh, I don't want him. Like if he runs it in, like the whole team won. It's not Marshawn Lynch won.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
people aren't saying, oh, Butler won, but the Patriots didn't win. Like the Patriots won the Super Bowl, not Malcolm Butler.
Right.
Yeah, that's just
Honestly-
ridiculous. If you can win the Super Bowl, you're gonna do whatever it takes to win the Super
exactly.
Bowl.
That's exactly what I thought. Like, I mean, like I said, I don't think that's why, but that was just an interesting conspiracy theory that I
Probably-
did hear.
Probably
But-
something off like friggin' Bleacher.
Yeah,
Report.
some random thing said that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think what happened is Pete Carroll just outsmarted himself. Like
Yeah, I
he's,
think that's
he's
exactly
thinking
right.
too
He
far.
pulled
into
a
it.
Josh McDaniels. He'd try and run like over complex play.
Exactly.
All he had to do was hand it off.
Yeah.
And there's no way. The play of the game, though, one of the most underrated plays of the game was if you look back on the film, Ayers on the down before that when Marshawn runs it to the 1, they were on the 3 or the 4, and then they ran it to the 1. Ayers is getting crushed on his block, and then he makes a shoestring tackle to bring him in at the 1. And I remember thinking about it. I was like, let him score, so we can get the ball back. And he made the tackle.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was thinking the same thing.
crap, why did he make that tackle? Like, that is terrible. And then, like, it ended up somehow, like, Carroll just
Yeah.
handed it back to us. But, like, Ayers made a ridiculous play to keep him in.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking they were going to let him in for sure, almost like they did in the last Super Bowl with Ahmad Bradshaw, and try to score a touchdown after. But yeah, that was a game-saving tackle for sure. Only because Pete Carroll called like maybe one of the worst.
It's so
play
funny,
calls
like,
ever.
how identical it was to, like, previous Super Bowls with the Bradshaw and the Curse. I think the Curse catch, though, was, like, level of difficulty was, like, 5 times harder. It was luckier catch than Tyree.
way better.
Yeah.
Tyree had like a
Tyree.
little bit of skill. The Curse one hit off like both of
Yeah.
his legs, hit one hand, and then he caught
that
it at the
was
same
just-
hand.
He didn't even see it until it was already went off his
Yeah,
leg.
it,
and was like,
it
oh.
literally just fell into his lap.
Another underrated play was Butler ran over and just the Pats
Yeah.
knew he caught the ball and they shoved him out of bounds.
Yeah.
Stop the clock. That's a huge play.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to know what's going on.
And then another interesting Marshawn Lynch storyline was he was asked after the game if he was surprised he didn't get the ball in that last play. And he said no. The reporter asked, oh, why? And he goes, because football is a team sport. What do you think about that?
He just wanted to go home. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
he really cared. He didn't want to ignite a media storm and then have to deal with that. Like I think he's just so pissed off. If you asked him behind the scenes and he didn't have like a mic recording it to his face, he'd definitely be like, yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
He won't be back for the Seahawks. He's going somewhere else.
I'm so impressed with the self-control of him to say that.
Yeah.
Though. Like, that was such a smart thing to say, like, after a ridiculous, like, emotional Super Bowl loss. Like, I would have been going off, like screaming,
Well,
calling out Pete
yeah,
Carroll.
his defensive players were,
Yeah,
dude.
that's for
I
sure.
think he kind of let the other players do the talking. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't need
Yeah.
to push myself.
Yeah,
into
and then
the
Yeah,
that's,
well, I mean,
that's
we-
kind of who he is.
Yeah,
like,
we all know
yeah.
that he hates media and interviews.
Yeah, yeah.
What he's been doing the last week.
So
So,
he's
I
just
think he was just trying to get out of there, and
Yeah, he's
just,
trying
that was the first thing he thought of me.
to give him the
Yeah.
just the stereotypical. Oh, it's all about the team.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Get back to the hotel room. Is as after the Super Bowl win, is Brady and Belichick, are they the best quarterback coach combo in the history of the NFL?
So the only you have a couple debates. It would be Montana's era, and then it would be Bradshaw and the Steelers. Would be the like they've all won 4. I don't know. I think just the way they've done it and like the longevity.
Yeah.
The Steelers won 4. They went 4-0, and like that's impressive. But like the longevity of the Patriots and the
Yeah.
show, like how long they did it is just ridiculous
Yeah,
to think about.
The Pats have been consistently successful with Brady and with Belichick.
The salary
Yeah.
cap,
Yeah,
in the salary cap era too. It's like as it shows with the Seahawks, it is ridiculous to repeat and just fight
Yeah,
year
'cause
after year after year for titles.
they're
You
gonna-
eventually have to rebuild.
Yeah, Seahawks are gonna have problems next year because they're gonna have to give Russell Wilson. They're gonna have to pay him.
And all the
Yeah.
defensive guys, they have
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
paying Wilson pennies.
Exactly.
Wilson's gonna be like, okay, I
Right.
want big time money now.
Yeah, it's a
right.
lot harder to sustain success now just because of the salary cap than it was when like Montana was playing. Because Montana always had like great teams around him because there was no salary cap and people wanted to stay more or less in the same area.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder to sustain success.
Yeah, and like I've said before, like Brady and Belichick, they can turn turn something into nothing. They
Yeah,
take
that's right.
mediocre teams and just
Yeah, I mean, you
Just
think of
take
some of the other competitive teams when the Patriots started their dynasty. It was like the Raiders and like the Buccaneers, and you see where they are now at the bottom of the league. But the Patriots have managed to stay at the top over this whole time, so I think they've got to be up there.
What's funny to me too is that the hero of this game was like working at Popeyes like not even that long
Yeah.
ago. So they've like managed to turn like no-name players into absolute stars
yeah,
over the course
exactly.
of their
He
run.
wasn't even in. They had Arrington and Ryan on Chris Michaels, and he's getting torched, and he's a 6'10" guy going up 2'5" nickelbacks. So then they flipped Browner as a bigger DB on him, and they put in Butler instead of putting Ryan or Arrington. There must have been a matchup thing. They didn't put him on. Curse. They bring Butler in, and Butler gets the game-winning interception.
Yeah.
Just bizarre how they make that call and how that works.
Yeah, and that's Chris Matthews, unbelievable. He hasn't had a catch all year. Comes up with 109 receiving yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Unreal. Like the two nobodies that stole the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
Matthews and Butler.
Do you think Butler should have won the MVP?
Like we were saying before, I think Butler and Tom Brady did just as much to secure the win, but just kind of gave the benefit of the doubt to Brady just because of the legacy and all he's done.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Seahawks were obviously at the top of the league for letting receivers score touchdowns, and Brady threw 4 touchdowns that game?
Yeah, 4 touchdowns. That fourth quarter drive,
Yeah, 8 for 8.
incredible. 8 for 8.
That was incredible.
Pats have no chance without that drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Butler had one great play, but Brady, aside from the 2 obvious mistakes that he made, just played great throughout the whole game.
He basically put the team
The
on
greatest
his back.
Super Bowl performance. Like he let most completions.
37 completions,
Was 37 for 50.
37 for 50, 328 yards.
And his first pick was bad, but the second one was a good play by Wagner. Like you gotta tip your cap for
Yeah.
that. The first one was horrendous.
Horrible. There wasn't There wasn't even
And
anyone
second-
in
and the second
in
one
area.
was the clear Jim in the Gronk play, so I guess you can
Yeah.
give it a little bit on.
Neither of them were as bad as Wilson's though. So
Yeah.
I think the first one.
First one was
Yeah,
pretty
first-
Well, like with the timing, obviously Wilson's was the worst. But the first
the
one
other
by
thing-
Brady was a total.
The other
Like,
thing,
what the heck are you doing?
the other horrible thing about Brady's first pick was they're in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Third and goal. If you just throw that away, you get 3 points.
Well, it was also ended up being a difference of 10 points because they could have gotten a field goal there, and after the interception, Seattle went down and scored a touchdown.
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
So cost
you
them
got
a really 10-point lead.
You got to give it to Brady because no one goes down the Seahawks like that. No one
Yeah.
marches down the Seahawks in the second half. Nobody's done that all year, and he just goes down, dices up the Seahawks D,
Yeah,
and just goes out and
exactly.
scores with Edelman. Like,
Yeah,
no one does that. It's ridiculous.
The whole game, Pats had 57 rushing yards the entire game. So that just shows how big Tom Brady was.
That was so predictable too. It's like, do you think Glenn's gonna run for 200
Yeah.
yards?
It wasn't
I
looking at
think
the trends.
Glenn didn't come up big for me.
that was.
And then but not to say that the running backs didn't have a huge impact in the game, because Vereen had a huge
11
game
catches.
receiving.
Yeah.
11 catches. He had let me bring this up.
My underrated player of the game on offense was Danny Amendola. I had a weird vibe that Amendola was just gonna do something. I don't know. That guy's unpredictable, but
Yeah.
when he's good, he was on target that game. He had that huge first TD catch or
Yeah.
first of the comeback, and then my definite overlooked player of the game was Ninkovich.
Oh yeah,
Ninkovich was ridiculous. He had that huge third down sack.
yeah. And he had another third down stop where he got Marshawn Lynch for a loss. So two gigantic third down
The
stops.
other thing about that was it was a read option play where
Yeah.
Wilson ended up handing it off, but Ninkovich read it perfectly and just ran right after Lynch, even though Wilson was running the
Yeah.
other way. He just diagnosed it right away.
Meanwhile, you have
Right after.
Collins and Jones running after Wilson, missing him by 15
God.
feet. It's like,
Oh, that was.
what are you doing?
Yeah, what'd you guys think about Chris Collinsworth?
Yeah, he's like a good analyst, but the guy's a school.
He's a Patriot. He's a Patriots hater.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just.
I think most of the media are Patriots haters, though. You
Yeah,
heard
that's a
that.
good point.
You heard people saying after the game that the media was basically rooting against the Patriots the whole entire game. So you
Yeah,
can't
and
blame
I
them.
feel like that's another thing that makes this championship so sweet is everyone was rooting against us, and
Yeah.
we just proved the whole world wrong. Like
The only-
we're kind of the good guys in 2004, going up and going from 3-0 against the evil Empire. So
Yeah.
this time switch roles, and it feels
Yeah,
great.
well, I mean, when Kraft was talking on the podium holding the trophy,
Oh,
he said
I
this one is the best one, and
Yeah.
every true
yeah.
Patriots fans knows why.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what he
Goodell's
did.
just standing
Yeah,
there.
Goodell got off that.
And
he
imagine
got off the
how
podium quick.
I was hoping you'd whisper something in Goodell's ear.
Yeah.
Just
Imagine how great if he was just like, Goodell, I want my apology right now. Just imagine. But
No, yeah, Goodell got off that podium real quick once they gave the trophy
you
to
could just
Kraft.
feel the tension.
They
between those two.
handled it with class. Like
Yeah.
Brady and Kraft and Belichick all had Goodell by the neck, and they could have
Yeah.
they could
Yeah,
have
they could've.
squeezed the life out of him. But they're
Yeah.
like, you know what? Well, this not going to take the attention away from the win.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. What you guys
Hey,
think of
Perry.
Kate halftime show?
I thought it just went. I don't know. It started off kind of cool with the lion thing, whatever the hell that thing was, and then it just went down. Like the rap thing was just like, oh
I
my
was just
God, it just went downhill.
the whole time I was like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
What is this? It went from riding in on a lion in her fire outfit to playing on the beach with the sharks and the
Oh, the
beach
sharks
ball.
are pretty
Yeah,
cool,
sharks stole the show. Easily the best part of the halftime performance.
I don't know. I kind of like the beach balls with the faces.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Palm trees back there.
I had a couple nightmares. Other than that, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but
Then she was
overall,
flying around on that thing.
Katy Perry came in with high expectations. Definitely let me down.
Yeah, a little bit.
That being said, I didn't think she was bad. Like I think there's been a lot worse. Like I thought Madonna was a lot worse. I thought she got I would give her a B. Like, I didn't think it was that bad, but I didn't think it was good.
I think the music was fine, but personally, I expected a lot less, if you know what I mean. So that was disappointing. I think a lot of people would agree with me.
Wardrobe was definitely an F- on the
Especially like the
show. Pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know. I will, especially how close of a game it was. Like, it was a blowout. I wouldn't have mattered if it was like, but the Super Bowl halftime show is just so long. Like, I get why it's long because they have to do advertisement and all that stuff, but it's just, I don't know. I would rather them speed it up a little bit, especially if you're gonna.
Welcome back to
part
Part two, Seaside Sports Guys. Let's Talk Balls podcast after some technical difficulties. So besides the obvious, incredible interception at the end, was everyone's favorite moment from the game?
I know. Gronk throwing the guy out of the club part 2 was pretty good.
Oh, that was
When the
great.
Seahawks
That's
are
a
all
good
mad,
one.
and they're like, we're losing the Super Bowl, and we're just like, they're trying to fight Who-Man, and Who-Man is like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that's such a
Get off.
scumbag
Yeah, they're trying to fight
Seahawk
us.
move.
Yeah, and
To
they're like,
go hard when you're taking a knee.
Yeah.
yeah, and they're like,
Like
trying
I understand it when they're at the one, like you could get a safety, but after the penalty,
yeah,
like you got no shot. The game's over. Just give it up.
trying to fight Gronk.
Go back
If they
to
didn't
Seattle.
pull Gronk off of Gronk, I'm gonna kick the crap out of that.
I honestly think he would have murdered someone.
That's
Yeah,
it.
If no one had
Hey,
stepped in, Gronk was on top of that guy. He would have
Leave that there.
Oh, yeah,
Cam Chancellor, like, saying that guy's light became in.
Yeah, let's leave that there. Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, good point.
And then
Yeah.
Gronk was on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and he's talking about it. And he's just, first of all, this whole interview on Jimmy Kimmel, Gronk is probably the most awkward human being on the planet, in my opinion.
Under
Like
over
he
It's
doesn't
gotta be up
he
there.
doesn't know how to function in human society.
Under-
All he knows is Gronk lift, Gronk smash.
Under over 15 brain cells. Probably on a little
Yeah, I'm all
under.
over the end on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says something along the lines of when he was asked about the fight, he goes, "Hey, I figured it's the last game of the season. Better throw some haymakers. Screw it." I mean, just so many golden A+ lines from that interview.
Yeah, and like Kimmel was like, "Oh, just remember, parents, this is the University of Arizona. Yeah, don't want to send your kid there."
Yeah, that was the.
And then
that
Gronk was
the
like,
best.
"Yeah, #1 party school. Academics, I can't really help you."
Oh yeah. And then he read from his the erotic novel based on himself, A Gronking to Remember, and that was quite the clip. I mean, he was reading and his mom was in, and at one point when he was describing something like, "Oh, I spiked the ball between my lover's butt cheeks," Jimmy Kimmel goes, "Oh, I see your mom getting all red over there," and then Gronk goes, "Oh, she likes it." Like, how? What?
What does that mean?
Like,
Oh god.
oh my God, Gronk, he's just a character.
Yeah, I've seen a few clips with him with his family in like other events, and I have to say his family seems to be just as crazy as him. So I can definitely see where he's gotten his personality from.
I love it though. He just
Yeah.
he's the kind
Yeah,
of
I
guy
love
that thrives in a place like Boston.
Yeah. Did anyone else have a favorite moment?
Favorite moment by far is Sherman's reaction to the interception.
That's
You
a
could
good
just-
one. That's a good one.
Like I probably watched the video like 100 times that night, just because I couldn't sleep because I was still in shock. So easily top 10 greatest reactions ever. And the other great thing was all the Seahawks fan reaction videos on
Oh, yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
Those are friggin'
My
hilarious.
favorite was the guy when he ran through his television.
Yeah, that I saw that one. That was great. That was great. What'd you?
Well, I think my favorite part had to be, I mean, first of all, I liked how they had Kurt Warner bringing out the Vince Lombardi trophy
Yeah.
to Robert Kraft, who we all know he loves. But I mean, my favorite part had to be Jimmy Garoppolo with
Oh,
the
yeah.
trophy. He looked
People-
so happy. Probably did the least of anyone on the team as far as actual playing in the game.
He played
But-
in a playoff game.
That's a good point, yeah. But I mean, him for that game in practice. But I mean, just the look on his face, just how proud he was. I mean, I love Tom Brady, but I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a really promising. He's gonna be a great person to replace Brady
He's the future.
in about 15 years when Brady retires.
Yeah,
but
15.
yeah.
more like 3.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, I just love Jimmy G with the trophy. Just how proud he looked. I know you gotta love some Jimmy G. So that was my favorite part right there.
yeah, and people were saying on Twitter, they're like, "Oh, Jimmy G in his first season has as many Super Bowls
Yeah.
as Brett Favre." I thought that was great.
And Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
Jimmy-
Peyton Manning. That was the
Jimmy
killer.
G was kissing the trophy. At least he didn't slip the trophy the tongue.
Oh,
Bill Belichick did to his daughter.
Oh yeah, we got this picture. Bill Belichick, hardcore. His tongue is halfway down his daughter's throat right now, and his daughter is just they are just enjoying the moment.
Yeah,
His
she's done
daughter
her
is
A little bit too much.
yeah, way too much for my own liking. His daughter.
PG television.
I mean, yeah.
You know something's wrong when the picture of Belichick kissing his daughter is hotter than Katy Perry's halftime show.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
I don't know whose fault that is, Belichick or Katy Perry.
I think they were just caught up in the moment.
They
Belichick was
they
done.
obviously didn't rehearse that. I hope not.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty ready for it.
Belichick's daughter looks like
Okay.
I
skipped over Sean.
I have to bandwagon onto yours, Tommy, because just seeing Sherman's face after that interception was just priceless, especially after what happened last time the Patriots and the Seahawks played with the whole "you mad bro" thing.
Yeah.
And I just did not even know it was possible to make a face that looked
Yeah.
like that. Like that was,
But you could just see how, like the raw emotions coming through with him. Like that was so he was so transparent at that moment. It's just
Yeah.
that's kind of just what sports are all about.
I couldn't tell if he was like crying or he had to go to the bathroom. Like,
No, you
Probably a
don't-
little bit
like-
of both, I think.
yeah, they probably don't have.
like
any-
just imagine that. Like
bathroom out there.
like he was feeling the exact opposite emotions that we were feeling. He was on top of the world, like I'm a Super Bowl champion for the second time ever, only for it to be ripped out of his
Out of his
cocky
grasp.
hands by Butler. But I can't imagine that.
You want to do LVPs?
Least valuable player, no doubt in my mind, is Pete Carroll. I mean, worst.
Aside from him not being a player.
I don't care. He made one of the worst decisions in his Super Bowl history. It'll go down in infamy.
My LVP is definitely Curse. Curse catches that ball, the drop he had towards the sidelines. If he catches that, they go up another 3 or even another 7, and they're just in the driver's seat. They're not. Pats aren't coming back from that. Brady can only do so much.
Yeah.
So without a doubt, Curse is the
Yeah,
MVP.
and that's a good point because a lot of people are like, "Oh, Curse brought them back with that amazing catch," but they kind of that huge drop is kind of overlooked. So
Yeah.
for my LVP, I'm gonna have to say Russell Wilson, which is a shame since I predicted him to be the Super Bowl MVP. But at the end of the day, despite how bad of a play call it really was, it's only second down. You cannot force it down the middle of the field. I know Butler made a great play in intercepting that, but you have to throw it away or at least do something instead of trying to force it in the middle of the field.
I mean, the other thing is he's young. You're gonna make mistakes like that.
Yeah, I mean, Brady made 2 mistakes, but
Yeah.
fortunately for us, it was at
Yeah,
different
it was all
times in the
about
game.
timing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I'm going to go in a complete different direction. I think it's got to be Kyle Arrington. I mean, if he would have made a couple plays on those 2 Chris Matthews catches, the Seahawks would have never been in a position for it to be that close a game. It could have been, Patriots could have been up by 10 at halftime, or up by a touchdown. But he let up some big plays for the Seahawks. But also, if he hadn't played that badly, then Malcolm Butler might not have even gotten into the game. So I think it goes in 2 different directions. But for me, it's got to be the LVP in that game.
Well, honestly, I don't fault Arrington on those huge Chris Matthews catches. Like Arrington is 5'10", and Chris Matthews is like 6'3", 6'4". So no matter how much of a scrub he is, he's never had a NFL. Didn't have a catch all season. The Pats coaches just have to know if no matter who he is, if he's got that much of a height advantage, then
Yeah,
he's
that's
going
a
to
good
come down
point.
with those jump balls.
Yeah. Yeah, Matthews did make some great plays on those catches, but I still think that Arrington could have made a
Yeah.
little bit more of a play on those.
Yeah, he could have been closer, but yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew, gotta credit Matthews.
Yeah.
Matthews had a good game.
Yeah, incredible. Moving on, you guys have any thoughts on the postseason awards? MVP, anything?
No, Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, as we
Yeah.
all know, and I think that's tough to argue. Like, it's the
Yeah.
best quarterback in the game. It's a passing league. It's a quarterback league. So, in essence, he's the best player. So, Aaron Rodgers is just on a whole other level, as I said
Yeah.
before in the previous podcast. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, going down the list, there's definitely no surprises. Like Aaron Rodgers MVP, Odell Beckham Rookie of the Year,
Gronk with the comeback player of the year.
Gronk comeback player of the year. Don't
Yeah.
call it a comeback. He said,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a little insulted by that on Jimmy Kimmel. And then obviously J.J. Watt Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he could arguably been the MVP. At one point, he was probably the MVP,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Rodgers played
I mean-
ridiculous down the stretch. So, he probably ran away with it, and
Yeah.
Watt stepped off the gas a little bit. Watt, between just having a ridiculous defense, his defensive year probably could have won the MVP if Rodgers wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then, like, his touchdown catches people overlook. Like, I don't know, it might be a fantasy weapon next year.
Yeah.
Draft him at tight end.
The Texans have, like, no weapons.
Yeah, honestly, I think Watt should have deserved a lot more consideration for MVP, just because of
Yeah.
the value he brings to the
Someone
Texans.
gave, like, yeah, I think you should have more.
Texans win like 2 games without J.J.
You know what?
Watt. He is their entire team.
I think you should
Yeah,
have
that's a
more
good
votes.
point.
And then, like, I was looking at some of the votes. Like, I thought Brady didn't get enough votes because he just had to win.
Yeah.
People all forget. Like, it was like, oh, so when are we bringing in Jimmy G? And then, like, they went to winning the Super Bowl. I don't know. I think the postseason. I get why they don't put the postseason. Why they don't weigh it in the MVP. But I think it should be. I don't know, like, you played to win the Super Bowl. So, like, how isn't that calculated in? And then, like, someone gave like a vote to like Bobby Wagner.
Oh yeah, that was
It's like,
Yeah.
that was the old Colt, the old Colts coach,
Tony
Tony
Dungy.
Dungy. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
what
some.
what
Yeah.
what are you doing?
That guy is such a pass hater. He probably just did that to piss everyone. Like, that guy is such a. I hate that guy.
Speaking of Pat's haters, Julian Edelman calling out Trent Dilfer post game. What do you guys
Speaking
think?
of tools, that guy's the worst quarterback. That guy's the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. That guy did nothing when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That guy is so, like, he's not even like a guy they should have on like TV. He's like, no one really knows who he is. Like,
Yeah.
Trent Dilfer calling out Tom Brady, and that guy had like one fluky Super Bowl win. It's like, congrats, buddy. Like, you're the man.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's just a turd. He's a hater.
Yeah, I definitely think, just in general, everyone was overreacting to that early season Chiefs
Yeah.
loss.
Ultimate pump the brakes moment. Like,
Oh, yeah.
everyone.
People were we forget. People were legitimately demanding to put Jimmy G in.
Yeah.
Like they thought Brady was done, and
Like-
that's just like
I didn't think they were gonna make the playoffs. Like, I'll be the first saying, like, I was,
Yeah,
I was like freaking out
yeah
too.
after that game.
I thought they would either not make the playoffs or skin with a wild card and just be like a first and out like they usually are in the past few years. But like, I don't know, the turnaround 360 in the Bengals game that night, where we
Yeah.
went to the game, it was ridiculous. They came out and that really set the tempo for the whole second half of the season.
Even if you believe that they weren't going to make the playoffs, you have to be an idiot to say on like live television or whatever, wherever it was, to count a team out that early in the
It's
season.
playing the AFC East.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
Like, what does he expect's going to happen from like just claiming that they're not going to make the playoffs? Like, there's nothing good that can come from that.
Kyle
Yeah.
Orton, Geno Smith, Ryan Tannehill. That's all I have to say. Those are the only
Yeah.
quarterbacks he's going up against.
Yeah, honestly, like it's probably one of the stupidest.
And
things
Michael
I've
Vick.
ever
I didn't
seen.
forget Michael Vick.
The Patriots just aren't good anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's gonna live on as one of the
Adding fuel to the fire. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like that the whole Deflategate thing that just motivates the Patriots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything like that does.
what
And
else we
then
got?
I think final thing was off-season plans
Oh, yeah.
for the Pats.
So, for free agents, we got Vereen, Mayo, Revis is technically under contract, but they're not going to pay him the $20 million. So Revis, hypothetically speaking, Mayo, Vereen. Am I missing one?
McCourty.
Cordy. Right.
Yeah, so Pat's like the Seahawks. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to.
Salary cap era.
Yeah, they're gonna have to deal out some cash.
Hopefully they don't get the salary cap hit from Deflategate. I don't think they
that-
will, but
I
I don't
don't.
think
Yeah,
they
there's
will.
no.
if they do get
Like
the
we said
hit with
before.
that is going to hurt.
that's-
I'd let Vereen walk because I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Honestly-
think James White, who they
Yeah.
drafted out of Wisconsin, can fill that role. I think anyone could really do that.
Yeah, literally any running back that comes into
Ridley,
Pat's,
too.
Yeah, Ridley.
Pat's system.
Ridley, I cut Ridley. I just don't think I keep Blunt. I like Blunt.
As long as you have Tom Brady playing
I wanna-
quarterback, you don't even need a running
I
back.
think
Yeah,
you
exactly.
need more. I think they have to re-sign the defensive guys.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get away with not signing Mayo because of his injury past, but also you might get him for a cheaper price because
yeah.
of his injury past. I don't know. Mayo when he's on the field is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just the key word is on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two biggest names there are McCourty and Revis,
Yeah.
just because of what else they have there.
McCourty's underrated.
McCourty, what else do they have at safety?
Yeah.
Like you guys
Patrick
are Deron
Chung.
Harmon and Patrick Chung, and Revis is obviously one of the best defensive players in the league. So I think any of those defensive names you let Mayo go, just because you've got Collins and Hightower, they're coming up pretty well. So I think that the two names there you gotta sign are McCourty and Revis.
Do you think that's a better Super Bowl, Revis or Sherman? So Revis let up one catch on the pick play for the touchdown, so
Yeah.
1 reception, 3 yards, and then Sherman let up. I think they threw out him once. it
Yeah,
said.
they only threw out him
I
once.
don't. Did he even have a reception? I don't even think he
I don't
did.
think so.
And he's
so.
playing with one arm, to remember too.
Yeah.
He basically
Yeah, I was surprised.
shut down Brendan LaFell with one arm.
That was a
Yeah.
one of the biggest surprises of the game.
Like that would have been a huge story, I think, if they wanted. They'd been like, "Oh, the hero Richard Sherman,"
yeah,
playing
yeah,
with one arm.
definitely.
and that just got swept under the rug. Because
Yeah.
of course they lost, rightfully so. Got swept under the rug.
Yeah, I was real surprised. I thought their game plan coming out would be just attack the hurt Seahawks defense, and
Chancellor was one of the Braves too.
yeah,
That
it's-
was interesting.
Yeah, all those injured guys played really well that game.
Yeah, I
think.
didn't. I had a tough time.
must
believing
have
Yeah.
had some deer antler spray.
Yeah.
that.
I think Earl Thomas might have let up a touchdown himself. I think there was one that
Yeah,
was
they
this
did
guy,
go.
Joel
They
Wentz.
did go at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, Sherman and Chancellor both played really well.
Yeah.
I can't say anything bad about them.
So I think that's it, guys.
Yep.
Nice.
Be back next week.
Be back next week for some less
Basketball.
exciting
Yeah.
basketball.
Football's over. Unfortunately.
Celtics.
Go Warriors.
Yeah, this has been the Seaside Sports Guys. Let's Talk Balls podcast. Signing off.